What if I told you the secret to wellness, real lasting wellness, isn't found in the latest health trend, the newest diet book, or even your fitness tracker, but in a text that's nearly 3,500 years old? I know that sounds bold, maybe even a little crazy, but stick with me for the next 20 minutes because what I'm about to share might completely transform how you think about your health, your purpose, and your life. Welcome to Naturally His. I'm your host, Alicia Hicks, and today we're diving into Genesis chapters 1 and 2 to discover something remarkable. That the very first pages of the Bible contain a comprehensive blueprint for human flourishing that modern science is only now beginning to validate. Whether you're a person of faith, a skeptic, or just someone who's tired of wellness advice that doesn't work, this episode is for you. So let's get started. Let me start with a question. How are you doing? No, really, how are you actually doing? Because here's what the data tells us about our current moment. We're more anxious than ever. Depression rates are skyrocketing. Loneliness has been declared a public health epidemic. We're more physically sedentary, more digitally distracted, and more chronically exhausted than any generation in history. And here's the irony. We've never had more information about wellness. We have fitness apps, meditation programs, therapy podcasts, nutritional supplements, sleep trackers, and an entire industry dedicated to helping us feel better. Yet somehow we're not feeling better. So why is that? I want to suggest that maybe we're looking for answers in the wrong places. Maybe we're treating symptoms instead of addressing the root cause. Maybe we're trying to fix something without really understanding what it was designed to be in the first place. Think about it this way. If your car breaks down, you don't just pour random fluids into the engine and hope for the best. You consult the manufacturer's manual, or you go to a professional. You go back to the original design to understand how it was supposed to work. What if the same principle applies to human beings? What if there is a manufacturer's manual for us that tells us how we're designed to function, what we need to flourish, and what happens when we ignore those design specifications? That's exactly what we find in Genesis 1 and 2. Now, before you tune out thinking that this is going to be a Sunday school lesson, let me tell you what this is really about. This is about discovering principles that are so foundational, so deeply embedded in the fabric of reality, that even secular researchers are rediscovering them now, often without realizing that at the same time they're confirming ancient biblical wisdom. So let's go back to the beginning literally. Let's start in Genesis 1. Which opens with God creating the universe. And there's this phrase that keeps appearing like a refrain throughout the chapter. And God saw that it was good. After creating light, good. After separating water and land, good. After making vegetation, good. And after creating animals, also good. But then after creating humanity, the text says something different. God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. Very good. Not just functional, not just adequate, but very good. Here's what this establishes. Wellness was the original state. Health, wholeness, flourishing, these weren't afterthoughts. They weren't bonuses. They were the design. And this is crucial because it means that when things go wrong, when we experience sickness or dysfunction, brokenness, that's not normal, and that's not how it's supposed to be. This deviation from the design. Modern medicine understands this, by the way. When a doctor examines you, they're comparing your body's current state to how it should function. They're using an implicit design standard. But where does that standard come from? Genesis gives us that answer. It comes from God. It comes from the Creator who created you, who designed us intentionally and declared that design very good. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Genesis 1:27 tells us that God created humanity in his own image. Think about that, what that means for a moment. You're not an accident. You're not a random collection of cells that happen to organize themselves. You're an image bearer of the creator of the universe. That has profound implications. It means first, you have an inherent worth, not based on your productivity or your appearance, not your achievements, but simply because you bear God's image. Second, you have purpose. You were designed to reflect God's character and steward His creation. Caring for yourself is a spiritual act. When you steward your body, your mind, and your spirit well, you're honoring the one whose image you bear. This completely reframes wellness. It's not narcissistic self-improvement. It's not superficial vanity. It's recognizing that you're sacred, that your life matters, and that how you treat yourself reflects what you believe about your Creator. And here's what I love about this. It takes the pressure off. You don't have to earn your worth by achieving the perfect body or the perfect life. Your worth is already established. You're simply called to steward the incredible gift you've already been given. Simply called to just step into your purpose. Step into the mindset of believing in yourself. Okay, so we've established that we were designed for wellness, but here's the next crucial insight from Genesis 2. God provides what we need to flourish. Listen to Genesis 2, 8 through 9. And the Lord God planted a garden in Eden, and out of the ground the Lord God made to spring up every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food. Notice who's doing the work here. God is. God planted the garden. God made the trees spring up, and God provided before Adam even asked. This reveals something essential about biblical wellness, about God's character. It's not something we generate entirely on our own. It's graciously given by a providing God. Now, this doesn't mean we're passive. Genesis 2:15, it also tells us that God put Adam in the garden to work it and keep it. We have responsibility, but our work is always in response to and in partnership with God's provision. Think about what God provided in Eden. 1, nutrition, abundant food to nourish the body. 2, beauty, trees that were pleasant to the sight. God cares about joy and wonder. Purpose, meaningful work that engages our creativity and strength, but also relationship. We'll talk more about this in a moment, but God provided community and connection. So here's a practical application. Biblical wellness begins with gratitude, not anxiety. It's marked by trust, not striving. When you eat a nutritionist meal today, that's God's provision. When you experience a moment of beauty, a sunset, a song, a laugh with a friend, that's God's provision. When you use your gifts to do meaningful work, that is also God's provision. This completely changes our approach to health, or at least it should, because we're not desperately clawing our way toward wellness through sheer willpower. We're receiving, we're stewarding, we're responding to the good gifts of a generous Father. And this has been backed up by research, by the way. Studies on gratitude show that people who regularly practice thankful experience better physical health, stronger immune systems, lower blood pressure, and better sleep. Gratitude literally changes your body. The Bible knew this thousands of years ago. Now we come to what might be the most countercultural aspect of Genesis 1 and 2, which is the importance of rest. Genesis 2 through 3 says, "And on the seventh day God finished his work that he had done, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work. So God blessed the seventh day and made it holy." Now God didn't rest because he was tired. Isaiah 40 tells us God doesn't grow weary. He rested to establish a pattern, to model a rhythm he knew we would desperately need. Let me ask you something. How many hours did you sleep last night? If you're a mom, I know that wasn't much. When was the last time you took a full day off? That speaks to all our fathers out there. Not just from work, but from all productivity altogether. When did you last feel truly rested? If you're like most people, those questions make you uncomfortable because we live in a culture that glorifies busyness. We wear exhaustion as a badge of honor. We pride ourselves on how little rest we need. But that is not God's design. God built limits into creation itself. Day and night, 6 days of work, 1 day of rest. Boundaries and rhythms aren't obstacles to productivity. They're prerequisites for sustainability. And science is catching up to this ancient wisdom. Sleep researchers tells us that chronic sleep deprivation increases your risk of obesity, of diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and even Alzheimer's. Psychologists tells us that burnout is a real medical condition now with serious consequences. Productivity experts tell us that regular rest actually increases our output and creativity. But here's what's really radical about the Sabbath principle. Rest is not just good for you, it's holy, it's sacred, and it's worship. When you rest, you're declaring your trust in God's sovereignty. You're acknowledging that the world doesn't depend on your constant activity. You're recognizing that you are human, that you're not a God, and that's okay. You don't have to do it all. The Sabbath is an act of rebellion against the tyranny of productivity. It's a declaration that your worth is not determined by your output. Think about how liberating that is. You don't have to earn your value through endless hustle. You can rest, truly rest, knowing that you're loved and provided for by a God who never sleeps so that you can. So here's where Genesis gets really interesting. In Genesis 2:8, we encounter first not good in the Bible. Up until this point, everything has been declared good. But then God said, "It is not good that man should be alone." Think about this. Adam had perfect communion with God. He had meaningful work. He had a beautiful environment. He had physical provision. By most measures, he had everything. But God says something is missing: human companionship. So God creates Eve, and in doing so, he establishes a fundamental truth. Community is essential to human thriving. We were not designed for isolation. We're fundamentally relational beings made in the image of a relational God. And this isn't just theological theory, this is biological reality. Study after study shows us that social isolation is as harmful to your health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Loneliness increases your risk of heart disease, stroke, dementia, depression, and even early death. So on the flip side, people with strong social connections live longer. They recover from illness faster. They experience less anxiety and less depression. And they report higher levels of happiness and life satisfaction. The Bible told us this in Genesis 2. Modern medicine is just confirming it. But here's what we've lost in our modern world: genuine community. We have thousands of social media friends, but feel more alone than ever. We're more connected digitally, but we're isolated relationally. Biblical wellness requires authentic, face-to-face, life-on-life relationships. It requires being part of a community where you're known, loved, where you're challenged, and supported. This is why the local church matters so much. It's not just a religious obligation, it's a design necessity. We need people who pray with us, weep with us, celebrate with us, and speak truth to us. You cannot pursue biblical wellness in isolation. You need others, and others need you, and that was part of God's design when He created serotonin and dopamine and all these hormones. Now I know what some of you are thinking. This all sounds great, but we don't live in Genesis 1 and 2 anymore. Sin happened, and the world is broken. How does this help me in actual life today? You're absolutely right. Genesis 3 changed everything. Sin corrupted God's perfect design. Disease, death, conflict, and brokenness entered the world. But here's the good news. The gospel is about restoration. Jesus didn't come to forgive our sins, though He certainly did that. He came to restore what was broken, to reconcile all things to God, and to make all things new. Colossians 1:20 says that through Christ, God is reconciling all things to himself, not just souls but bodies, not just individuals but relationships, not just humanity but all of creation. This means that when you pursue wellness as a Christian, you're not just engaging in self-improvement. You're participating in God's restorative work. You're living as a signpost pointing toward the new creation that's already breaking into this present age. When you care for your body, you're declaring that your body matters to God, and one day we'll have resurrected bodies in a new creation. When you cultivate healthy relationships, you're embodying the reconciliation Christ makes possible. And when I say the church family, friends, I don't mean that you have to go to church every Sunday and every Wednesday and every day the door is open. When I opened Living Holistic, part of my mission was to create a community outside of the church, because there's a lot of people with church hurt from wrong practices, from church becoming corporations. Friends, church can be anywhere. It can be any community. It can be on a beautiful mountain peak that God created. It can be in a boat fishing. It can be on a beach enjoying a sunset. Literally anywhere. God's whole creation is your church. And the community you build, that's your church. But it's important for you to have that. Genesis 1:2 gives us a blueprint, and Genesis 3 explains why we struggle. But the gospel, the good news of Jesus, gives us both the vision and the power to pursue true wellness, even now in this broken world. When you practice Sabbath rest, you're trusting in the God who created complete creation and will complete redemption. One day, Revelation 21 tells us there will be a new heaven and a new earth. God will dwell with his people, and there will be no more death, no more mourning and no more crying, no more pain. That's our ultimate hope. That's where this story is heading. So here's what I want you to take away from this episode. First, you were designed for wellness. It's not an optional upgrade. It's your original programming. Come back to the Father who can program that again. Second, you can't achieve true wellness by ignoring the designer's blueprint. When we pursue health apart from God's design, we end up frustrated and empty. And third, there's hope. Through Christ, restoration is possible. Not perfection in this life, but real, meaningful progress toward God's intended purpose for human flourishing. Now, if what you've heard today resonates with you, if you want to go deeper into these principles, if you want practical application for your daily life, if you want to be a part of a community pursuing biblical wellness together, I want to invite you to join our upcoming classes. You can find many of them on the school app under Heritage Havens. The link is at heritagehavens.com. I will also put that in the show notes. Every Wednesday, we have an open call. This is a 30-minute deep dive class time where we'll unpack everything we've touched on today with much more detail, practical application, and time for questions and discussion. You can find registration information in the show notes or visit our website. I am keeping spaces limited because I want to create an intimate, interactive learning environment that's safe and comfortable. So don't miss this opportunity to discover ancient wisdom that could transform your approach to health, relationships, rest, and even purpose. So thanks for listening to Naturally His today. If this podcast was helpful, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. And remember, you were created for flourishing. It's time to reclaim that blueprint. I'll see you soon in class.